Hey guys, Chastity and Greg, and we're back for another breakdown of Star Trek Discovery, this time with Season 3, Episode 12.
Now, before we get started, of course, warning, spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen this episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back here. Now let's break it down.
Alright, let's break down the main plot points for this episode. So initially, Osyraa has this plan to use the Viridian to chase Discovery towards Federation headquarters, start firing at them, pretend they're under attack, in hopes that with the comms jam that they will just let them in. And it works. They're able to get in, and Vance doesn't realize until it's too late that Osyraa's on Discovery.
The Emerald Chain converted almost all of Disco's operating systems to their systems, except for a small bit of code that's hard to delete, which is disguising itself as old Earth entertainment.
So this is obviously the Sphere data, as we saw the Sphere
Buster
data.
Keaton.
Yeah, the Buster Keaton stuff from earlier in the season, so we know what this is, and it's clearly foreshadowing that the Sphere data is going to save the day.
Meanwhile, Book and Burnham are using the dangerous courier network to get to Federation HQ and arrive just as HQ is letting Discovery in. They crash their way into Discovery's shuttle bay just as the shields went down.
Once on the Discovery, they split up, and Book stays behind and gives Burnham a concealing device to hide her life sign while she's searching for Stamets. And also, they tell each other they love each other.
And at this point, the bridge crew is held captive in the ready room, and here we meet, once again, Zareh. He has returned from episode 2, our space cowboy. He's back. This time around now, he's pissed because, again, he blames Tilly for his frostbitten hand.
Yeah, that's all that happened to him? Like, I feel like something much worse would have happened. But yeah, we're not surprised. We predicted that he would show up again.
Make the kill next time, instead of leaving the job to the ice.
Book gets captured by Zareh also and put into the ready room with the bridge crew. Rin is being held there as well. Together they take out the guards, and Rin tries to hack into the operating system.
Meanwhile, Osyraa enlists Aurellio, the greatest scientist in 3 sectors, to figure out how the Spore Drive works. And Burnham, unable to transport, gets injured in a fight and must sneak around the ship while bleeding from her leg.
She steals an Emerald Chain communicator and sends a Mayday message to her mother Gabrielle about the Emerald Chain infiltrating Federation HQ.
The way things are going, I might not see you again until another distant future.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna see Gabrielle and the Kawat Malat show up in the season finale.
From there, Osyraa makes contact with Vance. She sends Discovery's crew, minus the bridge crew, to HQ via shuttles.
Osyraa goes to the Federation headquarters to meet with Vance in person. She wants the Emerald Chain to unite with the Federation. She says the Federation is still a symbol of hope and something the Chain hasn't been, and they should work together for the good of their people. And she isn't lying. They have Eli, who can detect whether or not someone's lying, there present, and he can vouch for the fact that she is genuine in her beliefs.
It's kind of a bit of a game where you're not sure whether or not you can trust what's going on in the room from anyone, but as the episode goes on, you can tell that Vance has really good intentions here for the entire season. It's almost as if he's looking at the camera at this point saying, I'm not crooked, I'm not evil, I promise you.
I'm just so glad that we've gotten to episode 12 and Vance has not turned evil, so thank goodness.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in engineering, Aurellio is getting nowhere cracking the Spore Drive, so he removes Stamets from the neural locks that the Chain used to control him. And Stamets immediately tries to utilize the opportunity he has and grows a human connection to his captor, but Aurellio immediately always brings the conversation back to the Spore Drive. And side note, when they brought up Andorian opera, your mind, or at least my mind, immediately went to, okay, blue person singing opera aria, Fifth Element,
Yes.
Immediately.
Aurellio tells Stamets that he will not have to be killed to extract his tardigrade cells, but he assures him they will instead grow the cells.
Growth marries the fidelity of a copy with the vitality of new beginnings.
And back with Burnham, the regulators are quickly approaching Burnham's position in the Jeffries tube. In quick thinking, she ties herself to a railing and uses a phaser to destroy a sensor, causing the ship to open the tube to space to remove the oxygen.
Kenneth gets sucked out into space, while on the bridge, Zareh watches the dead officer floating in space.
So Burnham's barefoot, totally getting John McClane's Die Hard vibes here, getting Starship Mine vibes here because she's in the Jeffries tube. And she tells Zareh over comms that he will need more regulators, and she gets rid of the comm badge and runs off.
Meanwhile, Rin has gained access to Disco's systems, and Tilly tells him to scramble communications to help Michael. And back with Vance, Osyraa tells him that if there are the joined forces, the Federation must recognize the Chain as a valid operation, and trade should be sanctioned out of Deep Space 253.
She notes that Deep Space 253 has been trading with the Chain Mercantile for nearly a century, and the Chain should also be allowed to set up an embassy on the station. When Vance brings up the Chain's enslavement violations, Osyraa says that she has submitted a charter amendment to the Chain's Congress to outlaw slavery.
And after the two are briefed about the conflict on the Disco ship, Osyraa, seeking to advance negotiations, provides Vance with a copy of the proposed armistice. This bill would require the chain to follow the Prime Directive moving forward.
Osyraa commits to a 15-year walkback of control over Kwejian and the other worlds, arguing that an immediate pullout would cause chaos. Extremely skeptical, Vance sits down to read the full document. In the ready room, Rin scrambles the ship's sensors so that they show all life signs that have been on the ship in recent months, making it appear like there are thousands of people aboard. Rin and Booker stay behind to fight off regulars that come looking for them.
I'm staying because you have the best chance for Michael to make it out of here alive.
In engineering, Burnham arrives and stuns several regulators and Aurellio while freeing Stamets. Meanwhile, the regulators finally break into the ready room and begin exchanging fire with Booker and Rin.
So after Michael explains the dire situation that they're in, Stamets is inconsolable because of his family that is still left behind and he wants to go save them. Unable to convince him that he needs to go into hiding, Burnham resorts to a Vulcan nerve pinch to incapacitate him.
And back with Vance, he finds the armistice very impressive, and he's close to a major agreement only if it comes with major changes in leadership for the chain. He believes that Osyraa should step down and face trial for her past crimes. She insists that the new face of the chain would be free from her influence, but Eli says that's a giant lie, and angered, Osyraa walks away.
Osyraa takes out her anger on Zareh back on Discovery's bridge. Rin and Booker are present while Aurellio tells her there's no need for violence. Unmoved, she threatens to kill Rin, but Booker holds her off by saying he can show her to a dilithium planet. Osyraa quickly turns back and fires on Rin at point-blank range, killing him.
And she tells Aurellio to produce a truth serum so Booker doesn't lie about the planet's location. Meanwhile on the ship, Burnham places Stamets in an emergency escape field and activates a homing beacon. And in a very emotional scene, great performances here all around the board. Stamets, he is refusing to get off this ship, and he is just looking,
he's pleading
Michael right
with
in the
her,
eyes,
yeah.
pleading with her with everything. And this seems like something that's going to bleed over into season 4 here, regardless of what happens in the finale. This relationship with Stamets and Michael may never be the same. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if they just, give a wink and a nod in the next episode, say it's all good, but I feel like this is going to have a long-term effect on the two of them.
I'm sorry.
Zareh shows up seconds later, telling her that she'll be sorry for rejecting their key to the Spore Drive into space. Meanwhile, Tilly and crew attack the guards and arm themselves. But before they can make their next move, 3 .23 drones pop up.
So one of the little ones pops up the old Buster Keaton film just to give the audience oh yeah, okay, it's Zora. It's the sphere data. Yeah, now we're caught back up. We haven't had our full-on Deus Ex Machina moment just yet. It's coming.
I am at your service, Captain. Shall we take back the ship?
All right, we got one more to go here, Chastity. How'd you feel about this so far?
Honestly, I feel like the climax of this season wrapped up with Georgiou and setting up Georgiou's spin-off, and this feels a little less high energy than that for some reason. I think maybe it's just because the Emerald Chain hasn't felt threatening all season. Maybe it's Zareh and Osyraa and how they're just kind of like very easy villains to defeat. Season 2 was a setup for Strange New Worlds, and Season 3 was a setup for the Section 31 spin-off. And so it just feels like an afterthought for the rest of the Discovery crew, which is unfortunate.
Season 4 Discovery, it's kind of like crickets. Well, I love this crew, and now we're getting to know them more, and we have a new Admiral in Vance, and where they're going next could be cool, but obviously with the chain, they're not as intimidating as anything else. Other force we've seen in go up against the Federation, so it's a little bit of a letdown there, but they have one more to go. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm going to miss this show still, with that said. I miss live action Trek. I'll always take it.
Yeah, I could use a few more episodes just to develop the bridge crew. I feel like they didn't get a lot of development this season, and there was totally an opportunity to, but a lot of that time was spent on Georgiou. There's nothing else they're trying to pilot, right? So season 4 they can focus on Disco, hopefully.
Yes.
Now onto things we noticed and Easter eggs.
Actor Kenneth Mitchell returns. The actor has portrayed multiple Klingon characters on Discovery, including Cole.
Your death will secure my place as absolute ruler of the Klingon Empire.
In 2018, Mitchell was diagnosed with ALS and began using a wheelchair the next year. In an interview on StarTrek.com, Mitchell revealed his diagnosis to the Discovery cast with the help of co-star Mary Chieffo. And for Season 3, to retain his talent for the show, the role of Aurellio was subsequently written for him as a hoverchair user. Welcome back, good sir.
Burnham saves Stamets by overloading her phaser and blowing a hole in the side of the ship so he can escape. Overloaded phasers were previously used in the original series episodes The Conscience of the King and That Which Survives, and the Next Generation episode The Hunted.
Phaser on overload. Seal this deck.
Vance says,
She was waiting for them like an Altarian spider.
this is a reference to a spider native to the Altair star system, and while we've never heard of the spider before, the TOS novel Mutiny on the Enterprise does mention an Altarian spider bird, which flies like a bird but also spins cobwebs.
Burnham spots the remains of a Wanderer-class ship in the Courier network. The Wanderer class is an Orion-designed Class V blockade runner. This class appeared only as a graphic on the computer screens in several early episodes of TNG.
Book says,
Osyraa did the same thing on Benthos 4.
Benthos 4 is located in the Delta Quadrant and is the homeworld of the Benthan civilization. It was referenced in the Voyager episode Vis-a-Vis. Tilly and the others encountered .23 bots, updated versions of the worker robots .7s. We discover that the sphere data is hidden in several of them, with their voices performed by Annabelle Wallis, who performed the sphere's voice in episode 4 of this season. Intriguingly, Wallis was also the voice of Zora, Discovery's sentient AI in the Short Treks episode Calypso. In that episode, the Discovery has been abandoned and left floating in space for nearly 1,000 years, suggesting that the seeds of this are planted in this episode.
Book says,
Took it off a tosser who was stealing my cargo with Thesk in exchange.
Theskians are a race said to be related to Andorians, and were mentioned in the TNG novel Metamorphosis.
Awakening, Stamets notes that they are listening to Andorian opera. This track was written by disco composer Jeff Russo and performed by Ayana Haviv singing the Andorian opera/aria. Alright, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our breakdown of the season finale.
Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below, and we'll be back here very soon for the season finale. Bye bye, everybody.